Welcome to God Hockey, Episode 3. Today we talk to Alex Bortolotto from CCM Hockey about the new Eflex 5 goalie line. Please remember to like and subscribe so you'll be notified when new videos are released. And now, let's get to the episode with Alex Bortolotto of CCM Hockey. Okay. So today joining me from CCM is Alex Bortolotto. He's a guy with a name that's meant to be said over a loudspeaker. Alex, you may have only been blessed with third string talent, but you've got a starting lineup name. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks, Dan. How are you?
Great. I've been working on that introduction for a couple of days now, so
and you
my
nailed
apologies.
It. I loved it.
My apologies. So obviously we're kind of all hockey guys here. You're, I mean, local really depends on who's watching and who's listening, but like I'm a Toronto guy. You're a Toronto area guy growing up.
Yep. Yeah, I grew up in Georgetown there, just outside the GTA, and then I've moved to Guelph recently in the past 5 years. So now I kind of call more southwestern Ontario
Southwest.
home.
You're a Southwest kid now. So growing up playing in Georgetown.
Yeah, so I played Georgetown. We only had single A and double A and AE. So played down there most of my life, and then as I kind of got a little bit older, I played AAA for the Hurricanes, and then bounced around some junior teams for a little bit, but nothing I would call a career.
Sure.
Hockey DB
hey, believe me, most of us are in the same boat, you know. So
yeah, exactly.
So you get out of your hockey career, you catch on with CCM. It's where you've been now for quite a while, I guess. When did you start? When did you get on with them?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that really goes kind of unnoticed sometimes is like, so I worked retail for a long time prior to this.
So
right.
Of course.
Managed two different hockey stores, was part-time in another two hockey stores, and was always like really just, being a goalie, really just loved the gear. And that was the thing that kind of just drove me to become kind of a gear nerd and, pay attention to what people were doing and wearing. And so I was in retail since, I think that was my first job actually when I was in high school. And then I've been with CCM now since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a good 6-year ride. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like for most of us, I've been talking to a lot of guys who I describe as lifers. So, hockey just kind of becomes a part of you, a part of what you do, and you end up just staying in it. So if we head right in to some of the gear, obviously new pad. So Eflex 5, that's what's out, what's coming out, what everyone's been seeing since even since the beginning of the current NHL season. So some exciting stuff we see on it. There's a strange center knee roll that I think not everyone's quite up to speed on. Do you want to go into that a little bit and maybe walk us through some of the new things we're seeing on the pad?
Yeah, sure. So I'll try and make this as presentation friendly as I can. So yeah, here's the hot topic exposed foam knee roll.
Yep.
So basically what we tried to do here was we tried to kind of move away from traditional foams and use a foam that would retain its shape over a period of time. And we wanted to, expose that foam so everybody could try and understand what we're doing. Obviously it hasn't been as well received simply because it breaks up the graphic. It really interrupts it. But
plus
the one
goalies.
thing, I guess maybe, yeah, we're weird, right? But I think it's and ever since I started with CCM, I've kind of had this because I started when it was Eflex 2 and had just launched. And ever since that graphic had come out, I think the negative we always get is whenever somebody sees our first graphic, I don't know why, but it's never our best graphic. Yeah. And once you start to play around with the customizer and, in my opinion, in this instance, a lot of times you're avoiding the knee roll. You can really make some nice, modern, crisp, clean graphics. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see it's more of an angle roll
Yep.
than the traditional one kind of at the bottom here. And we did that for a couple of reasons. One is because, we wanted to have a meaner look with our knee rolls. Knee rolls in the past, they're always soft, very plush, rounded. And they've kind of always been associated with that traditional style goal pad,
Yeah.
right? So we wanted to, make ours a little bit more aggressive looking. And the other thing we wanted to do is flatten them out so that now you have a lot more control and predictability off the knee roll. So for us, I mean, I think that the knee rolls look fantastic. I really like them. Once again, the exposed foam can be a love or hate thing. And when you're making a custom graphic, you really want to use it as an asset as opposed to a deterrent. But having the flat knee rolls really gives you, even if you look at the side, really gives you,
Right.
more.
No, it's a good
that,
profile.
yeah. So I'm really excited for them. And I think that shows that we're, looking to kind of change things up a little bit, right? And really try and be more progressive.
Yeah. So are we likely to see moving forward more exposed foam as opposed to a covered pad? Is that like possibly a direction we're heading? I'm not asking you to dig too deep into the vault here, but is that probably something that's going to end up happening?
I would say that it's something that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Basically, when we are kind of, doing things like this, like it really is us using the data that we've gotten and the feedback that we've gotten, and trying to see how now we can push the envelope.
Right.
And I think the exposed foam is something where, maybe it's a great story, but a story we could have told a little bit differently if to appease some more people. But hopefully with the little bit deeper of a color offering in it, it's like I said, it's still something that you can integrate and make a really nice looking gold pad.
Yeah.
For instance, I think like this one turned out pretty nice here. So
For sure. I mean, I've gone through the customizer a couple times. I've done some looking at them where I use the knee roll to completely break things up. I've done it where I make it look sort of like almost lightning boltish, where you continue on using the knee roll as a function of the graphic. And I mean, realistically, there's ways in and around just about everything because this isn't, we aren't in 2001 where it's color 1, color 2, color 3, and something on one side of the pad has to correspond with another side of the pad just because it's in section 2. There's now you have pads that might have 20 separate or even more selections to make tiny little bits colorized where you're allowed to play around with just about everything. So I think the versatility of like today's like customizer world, I guess you could say, that we sort of live in as goalies, it does give us enough options to kind of get it the way we like. So on the pad, we've got what we've called molded core construction. And that's just that's just throughout the whole pad. You want to walk me through that one?
So basically, the way I like to discuss our core is it's the meat in your sandwich, right? And if you go somewhere and you purchase a sandwich that doesn't have good quality meat in your sandwich, you're going to notice it. And it's the same thing with our goal pads. So we've been using a molded core similar to this for a very long time now. And it's something that's given our product, good durability as well as predictability and performance. So when you're taking a rebound off any portion of the thigh or off of the shin, or now, off of a flat knee roll, it's a lot easier to know where that puck is going to travel to, so that you can control the game a lot more. And that's the one thing I think that's kind of, it's made us successful, right? Is the consistently good quality of the meat that we use to make our sandwich.
There you go. Great meats.
It's that, and I think the other thing too that's often forgotten is the knee stack that works with that core. And having that molded foam knee stack as well is something where it gives the goalie a little bit of flexibility, but it also gives them quick response. So it's something where good seal, quick response, flexibility, especially with today's goaltending position. Looking at goalies that do a VH or an RVH kind of on those dead angle walks, is extremely important, because if something is too tight, too fixated, then you're going to have an issue with pads either wanting to do an A or B movement as opposed to some sort of gray area in between.
Right. Perfect. The one thing I did want to get to as well was you guys went basically a whole year without a new arm and body. I know it was basically the strategy was, I guess, kind of putting all of the Eflex stuff in the same line at the same time.
Yeah.
So we went basically a whole year without a launch. Now, fortunately for you guys, it happened to fall in the year of a pandemic, and I don't really think many people noticed that there wasn't a new one because there weren't many guys able to check a lot of stuff out. So, so Eflex 5 has a new arm and body, and it looks about how the rest have. It looks good. I haven't had a chance to put one on myself yet, but there are a few changes that they've brought in, and let's maybe touch on a couple of those.
Yeah. So I think, and just to kind of backtrack a little bit,
Okay.
it was 2 years ago where we kind of did what I call like the arm and body standstill,
Yep.
where we launched the Premier LE, because last year we would have had the Axis arm and body unit come out as the kind of Premier's evolution.
Right.
Right. And yeah, that chest protector, unfortunately, although a great unit, and really a unit that about 60% of the OHL players that I use are wanting to go into, it is still a, quote unquote, I guess, if you will, a blocking style chest protector.
Yeah.
It is, maximizing coverage. It's maximizing your surface area. We updated the arms in it to be more anatomical, because what we've found is in years past, a lot of chest protectors have what I call the forklift arms, where, they go in and then they go up and down. And while our arms simply don't work like that, when you're in your goalie stance, your elbows aren't tucked into your sides and your gloves kind of out in front like T-Rex arms. It's your elbows are typically rounded out a little bit. There's some sort of curvature from your shoulder all the way down to where your wrist ends up. And so our more anatomical arms allow goalies to play, if you are a gloves out goalie or a gloves in goalie, allow you to are versatile enough to allow you to play both positions very, very nicely. So that's kind of the one thing, and I only say that because I'm an Axis chest protector user, so I have to make sure I reinforce that what I'm
for your own
is something that exactly. But whereas our Eflex chest protector is much more based off of maximizing range of motion. It's for that more, I guess you'd say, reactionary goaltender. And it's crazy to think, because I know it seems like both of those are coming to a head, but you do see still a lot of goalies that are more positionally sound versus the goalies that are relying more on their athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
So where our company sits is because there is still a divide in those goalies. We still need to be able to cater to both of those and have one that maximizes one goalie's opportunity as well as one that maximizes the other. So moving on to kind of the Eflex 5, that was our main goal, is how do we, maintain great protection while at the same time maximizing that goalie's mobility. And basically what it comes down to is you integrate some nice smart foams like our D3O rate sensitive foam, some super light foams like a Zote foam that's in our FT4 protective, and kind of having those bases to work off of a strong protective player line, and then also a strong goalie line. It allows us to marry the two together to bring as much tech as we can into the package and still provide a unit that's going to be, once again, very mobile, flexible, and, reactive for those goalies to make those quick saves. So I think ultimately, you try on your chest and you see what one kind of feels best and suits your style, but it's definitely one where now we can look at different types of goalies and say, hey, we've got something for you to maximize this or to maximize this. What playing style are you?
Yeah, I experience it as well when I'm fitting guys. I'll have someone in, and you can almost tell right away they put it on and they'll start doing they start doing the arms, or they start doing and you really see like who likes one or the other. You can sort of almost get an idea of what they play like because of how they describe it. It is strange though, like you said, when you have, oh no, like this is the blocking one, this is the movement one, but it's not like you can't block in one and it's not like you can't move in the other. I think too often that sometimes by by trying to do a good job of describing what your maximal benefit out of some of this equipment is what sometimes ends up happening is like those buzzwords tend to run on a bit once you get it to the end user, and then it's, oh no, stay away from
Yes.
that, or no, I must wear that. But obviously trying it on is always the key. I've always liked all of the Eflex arm and bodies. I like the way they all sit up nice and high on the shoulders, good across the collarbone, and they've always wrapped really well. My biggest contention with them has always been, although I like that sort of elbow pad system that they have in the arm, it's a little tricky if you don't know what you're putting on. And again, it doesn't affect for me as much, because when I'm giving one to a customer, I am fitting them for it. So I'm going to tell them, you need to, here's how the elbow assembly is, here's how the straps work, you got to get your arm through, and things like that. But generally, I know I've seemed to have a great deal of success with all of the Eflex line, whether it's the pro, the senior, and then even down the intermediates, and for the younger kids too. But that's generally just
the
been
one
one
thing
that
that
works good.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing that we have redone on both of our chests is, because in years past, I think you're right. Like we used to have that plastic, almost, old time Jofa one piece elbow pad that kind of stuck there, right?
The
And
Brent
what we've
Johnson on Rick DiPietro elbow pad.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Make sure you feel in the morning elbow pad. Um, but the one thing that we've tried to do is we actually looked at our successful player elbow pads and having a three-piece elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we've implemented on both of them, is now to have a three-piece elbow pad. Now it's going to hug your bicep, your elbow, as well as your forearm, to give you, once again, some good range of motion. And at the same time, when you slide it in, not worry about kind of that one piece dictating almost what your arm has to do to fit in, but now more so allowing that elbow pad to kind of caress your arm the way it should be caressed when you're trying to be comfortable making movements and saves.
No, it is good. It's got the upper, the lower, and then obviously the round cap. Round cap for the elbow sits in there pretty good. We've moved now to one family for skates, so
Yep.
we're all in tacks.
Yes.
So fit wise, that turns everything into more or less like the tack player skate. Are we seeing, because that is a fairly voluminous skate?
Yeah. So we've undergone a change in player where, this year for player we have three different fits.
Mm-hmm.
We have our tapered, our regular, and our wide fit. And if you were to break down the tacks and how that fits into our tapered, regular, and wide fit, it really means that we offer a regular and a wide fit, because the regular fit on our player skates is modeled after the Tax D, and the wide fit on our skates is kind of a blend between a ribcore double E and a Tax double E, which would be our two widest fitting player skates. So when we look at our Tax skate offering, we really have the two most common fits. So we have our D, which would be quote unquote called our regular, and then our W, which would be a blend of what is now called our wide. So for us, I think the tax skate is obviously a lot of clout in the name, but it's a skate that I believe we're going to be moving forward with, and the one so far that we've had the most success with at retail. Just because I think the value that we've been able to drive in our two opening price points, and then the technology that we've been able to bring to our high end goal skate, where in the past, let's face it, we were probably a number 3 option for most consumers, whereas with the FT2 coming out, and now the AS3 Pro, people are looking at that skate family now as something that they can go towards and be confident in, and more importantly, obviously for goaltenders, be comfortable and responsive in. So
Right.
very happy with that. So I've got my skate here actually. All right. So basically, like, this is our top end AS3 Pro, but what we really wanted to look at with this skate was making sure that the key goalie movements, right, like your slides, your recoveries, like those were going to be supported. And what better way to support that with our one piece boots? So from your toe knuckles all the way up to your ankles, you have that one consistent piece of composite that's always working together. And the way I like to describe it is it's like using sports steering in a car versus comfort steering, right? Comfort steering, you're kind of, rolling the wheel over a couple times before you make that left-hand turn. Whereas sport, it's instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to recover or you're trying to push, like this is going to give you the best energy transfer all the way down to the steel escape. And by having that one piece boot, like I said, from the toe knuckles all the way to the throat, especially in the area of the balls of your feet, where, let's face it, the playing the position, that's where you're mostly sitting.
Yeah.
That's something that I think is completely underappreciated, which is our tongue. And it's a full memory foam tongue. And it really adds to that heat moldable experience where, like, when I pull it out like this, like you can see how, the sides of the tongue are staying kind of molded around my foot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice and plush where, it pushes back a little bit when you're getting over top of your toes in your stance. But at the same time still delivers a ton of comfort down the face of the foot. And like I said, for us, it's what's allowed us, I think, to gain market share. That one piece boot combined with a nice comfortable feeling in the skate and tongue. And I think it's a winning combination. Based on how our player skates are going, I would assume that we're going to be seeing step steel in some capacity on our goalie skates in the future. So, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how else to make a skate better than put probably the top steel in the market
Yeah.
on it. So very, very excited to kind of see what the next rendition of that skate's going to be.
And that's probably also because of the timing of when it all happened. That probably is also a bit of an overlooked acquisition
Yes.
with bringing step steel into the family, because I know from my experience with it, carrying it and putting it on countless skates, I use it in my own skates as well. Just the consistency, just the quality overall on that product of the step steel is really it's really something else. So it's definitely something that's a big add. I do like that tongue. And one of the nice things about a tongue and a goalie skate is you're not really wrapped up a whole lot in protective elements. You're not trying to jam in any big pads. You can make that thing as comfortable as you want. Make sure it fights off a little bit of lace bite if that's a concern. And then other than that, let's just make it hold the foot in and just sort of do the job that it needs to do and not give it any other expectations beyond that.
Yeah. Basically, don't get in the way, right?
Well, exactly. Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
So also looking at the skate still, again, it's something that's been around now for a couple of years, but maybe not as many people are fully appreciative of it. Is the new holder, obviously cowlingless, but the
Yes.
holder with the dial system that allows you to take the blade in and out. The one thing I'll let you talk about it maybe more, but the one thing I've always appreciated about it is that all the parts are visible, all the parts are removable, interchangeable, replaceable.
Yeah.
If something were to go wrong, you're not off the ice until you can get a new holder put on. It's just a matter of a couple of spare parts, basically at your local shop or what have you.
Yeah.
So, anything that you want to say about that, maybe?
Yeah. I think that the really cool thing about our holder is, we really focused on blade security, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you kind of look at what else is out there, it's a lot of plastic.
Yes.
And at the highest level, right? Like, I'm obviously holding our top end skate right here, but the highest level, like having that metal pin at the back, and then you being able to pop it out it's a nice piece of security. And I think when you're, especially a goalie, and not that we're making skate saves anymore, right? But like
Not too
when you're
many.
a goalie and, like, you do end up, whether it's post
Yeah.
or yeah, you get a deflection, or even, those saves when especially with all the slack you have at your toe, when you're kind of skate kind of just peeks out from behind the boot of the pad,
Yep.
and you need to make that save off the holder to not have your steel pop out, I think is a huge asset, and something that, maybe we as a customer base, we may have gotten used to because that was all there was. And so having, once again, that blade security of not having the pop outs is, I think, something that's going to set us apart. And, like you said too, like speaking to the acquisition of Step, which went really under the radar, like having that on your top end product, an extremely consistent steel, that's, that's why they were the number one steal in the NHL um, prior to us acquiring them and kind of taking over sole ownership of them. Is now they're exclusive to our product, and that's a big competitive advantage we've got.
Yeah, no, it's great. I remember when I first heard that it was happening, it was just one of those things where it's like, oh, well, there's no negative. There's no negative about that. Like there's, that's only a positive for them. So, um, it only just goes to, again, to, just something that you're offering. That's another additive, another plus, another bonus. So if we
Yeah.
move to, let's say if we're looking at a stick now, what do you got to show us? Um, I know the more recent sticks, especially on composites. I know this. The one thing I've really noticed mostly is a big improvement on just balance, overall feel, just taking that weight and just really distributing it nicely.
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, we're not the lightest goal stick on the market, but we're really looking at functionality, right?
Do you have to be?
Yeah, well, yeah, everybody's got a different preference, right? And
Sure,
I think
I guess.
I
Yeah.
think if some people do want a really light goal stick, then there's really light goal sticks out there. And like you say, we are really focusing on the feel. Like the one thing we've had a lot of goalies say to us is they really like the puck feel off of the blade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been good because we've done a good job with our partnership with a Sigma Tex composite for instance, where we can now deliver that. And I think where our goal sticks are really going is we really want to focus on, you know, goalies now. We know we've got the control part down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we take a goalie's game to the next level after the control part? Well, now, especially with younger age groups, we hear coaches wanting goalies to get a little bit more involved in the play. At bare minimum, stopping pucks behind the net. We're trying to sit here and think, okay, well, how can we help a goalie, be that sixth player on the ice to jumpstart a breakout? And where we've kind of gone with that is our Eflex 5 goal stick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you the back of it first. So on the back there, for the ghosted out black logos, I always think look pretty cool. But you got that Sigmatex composite, right?
Yep.
And that's what's given us the feel. And then what we do is when you flip it around, I'm going to flip it around this way here, is you see now kind of that cross composite, which is an Inegra carbon fiber. So what the Inegra does on the face and the Sigmatex on the back is it's a nice little marriage to develop a low kick on the stick.
Okay.
And being more familiar with some of the player sticks we offer, our low kick sticks are designed for a quicker release. And you think about a goalie, like really the goalie position is being played. People when they're shooting, we're not winding up behind us.
That's right.
And firing a puck.
No one-timers.
Exactly, one timers, or at most you're shooting off, just slightly behind the heel. You're skating forward, right? And especially with that kind of Marty Turco, glove over top,
Mm-hmm.
being almost, the equivalent of the traditional way of holding it underneath.
Yep.
You need to have a stick that's going to be versatile like that. So acting like a low kick stick, giving a goalie a quick release is something that we're really excited for Eflex to offer. And coupled with a rounded shaft at the top of the stick, which is going to increase surface area for the goalie to hold on to and give them more puck control, is a nice, it's a nice 1-2 punch to give, hey, a goalie that's looking for some nice puck handling capability and once again become that third defenseman or sixth player on the ice to assist in a breakout. It'll be a great stick for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, the key is adding in the technologies that are going to give that to you. And I think you guys are certainly right at the top as far as doing those types of things. I like that you mentioned though the sort of overhand as opposed to the underhand. I don't know. I was playing once, and I just all of a sudden I did it that way, and I think I forgot how to do it the other way, and I don't know when or why it started, but all of a sudden that's what I was doing, and it just became the way I shoot, and away you go. But you're right. You don't have time as a goalie. Like there's no like wrist shots. There's not a lot of drag and pull through. Like you're really everything is a snapshot. Your hands are up out in front of you, so you don't really get much time or space you've really got to, even if you can call it quick loading, like you've really got to, you're just using that bottom hand as a fulcrum, and
Yep.
you're just sort of like kind of stabbing at it, and then boom, you've just got to, you've got to get it moving. Otherwise, the guy's on top of you, and next thing you know, everyone on the ice is a -1. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and it's funny you mentioned that. Like, I remember being at a goalie school when I was younger, and I was having troubles playing the puck with my glove underneath, and I saw Mike Smith rifle a puck from one end of the ice to the other and hit the crossbar, and you're just in disbelief. Goalies don't do that, right?
yeah,
This was late '90s, early 2000s. Yeah, like
sure.
goalies don't do that. And then you go out there and you try it, and it's just like, and yeah, Marty Turco was a great puck handler. Don't get me wrong, but I think Mike Smith deserves a little bit of credit too for the over the hand technique.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right though. And Turco was a great puck handler, but Mike
Yes.
Smith, great puck shooter. He
Yeah.
was probably aiming for that crossbar.
I was gonna say, if you get in the way of that thing too, that's gonna hurt. Like, that
Yeah.
is a heavy shot,
Well,
right?
that's exactly it, right? I mean, all these guys are big and strong, and I mean, they work out and practice hockey for a living. They're going to get good at it. So yeah, keep your heads up when the goalie goes out for it. Um, so when we talk about sticks, obviously wood and foam core sticks are still being made. I know they're getting a little less and less desirable, I think, every year. Do you have a thought on that?
Um, I kind of look at, like, I kind of think of, the wood player sticks, and then even wood baseball bats, right? Like,
Sure.
if you look at a wood product, the best, like, I remember my dad wasn't a big hockey player, but he still said it all the time. Is He's like, oh, there's no better feeling than a fresh wood stick, and you'd go out on the ice, and the first shot would be your best shot, right? And the one thing we're finding is with wood sticks, wood bats, anything like that, is the material is great right out of the wrapper,
Mhm.
but it's like a car. After you purchase it, it depreciates so quickly and so significantly that it's great for your first period, your first 5 shots, whatever it is, but right after that, like, it's just downhill from there.
All those tiny little
Whereas,
fibers.
exactly, or the water logging, right? Adding tape to try and keep it together, like, it
Mhm.
all adds up. And I think at the start, right, as goalies, because we were slower to adopt the composite goal stick.
Mhm.
But when you start seeing the benefit of having a product that is consistent, and unfortunately consistent till it blows up, right?
Right.
The dramatic effect of a composite stick
They break
breaking is a
spectacularly.
lot different. Yes, it's an act, right? Whereas, the wood stick is, a dying slowly type of product. But that was always the knock, is, just like player sticks, you didn't want your stick to break at that, oh no, that critical point, right? Whereas with the wood sticks, it's like, yeah, it's slowly breaking on you, but when you need that pass to be super crisp and sharp, it's not going to work for
Yeah.
you.
The
So
stick's dead. It just hasn't fallen apart yet.
yeah, so I remember when I started with the company, we were foam core sticks were it. You
Yeah.
used a custom colored foam core stick, no ifs, ands, or buts. And I remember at that time we had, I think it was the Reebok Premier, was our composite goal stick. And I kind of looked at it and I said, well, I know how good our composite sticks are, or sorry, our foam core sticks. So I was like, I got to try our composite sticks so that I can at least start to give some feedback. And
Yep.
back then they were very pingy, right? And some sticks now still are. And that's, going back to the puck feel, like, I remember that first Premier stick. Yeah, there's a reason why people weren't using them. But then, as the product developed, as the composites we used started to get better, and give you the puck feel that you wanted, as opposed to feel like you were playing with a ping pong racket. It
Yeah.
was so good. And that's why now, as you're seeing, the vast majority of goalies, like, off the top of my head, I can really only think of two. And in the OHL specifically, with a lot of goalies that I deal with, it's a non-starter. Like, if you go in there with a wood stick, it better be the practice stick, because nobody's ever going to use it. Um, and yeah, so with the puck feel being so nice on them, and the performance being so high and consistently high, I think the wood sticks the way of the past. And it's unfortunate because they were what we grew up with, but
Sure. For sure, for sure. It's well, I mean, it's the window's closing, and it's closing a lot slower than obviously than the player sticks did for the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah.
Player sticks, it's the benefits are evident, you know.
Yes.
And I think with the goal stick, I think the last thing to come really has been the feel, and
Yep.
but that's something in the last year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years on some of the ones that have really come along. You are starting to get that, so you do start to have that feel where you've got it in your hand, and it's just comfortable, and it's just moving, and it's just, and then you go take a shot and it's just a missile,
Yeah.
like I love playing when you get a pickup game and you can go and warm up and the other goalie's stretching, and you grab a wayward puck and you just go, can I,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, all right, got it all the way down there. I mean, you can't do it in a real game. There's just, it's not enough going on.
Well,
But
I think that's one of the simple joys of the goalie game now. Like I know I find the same thing is I kind of, and yeah, sometimes it does go in the net and I'm a dash and my players on the ice are a dash one because of it, but it's like it's the forbidden fruit, right? Like
yes,
it's okay. Well, if I go to the corner, I get this one. I could rifle it up to that guy at the far blue line and get an assist on this one. I also could get it picked off. Player has a yawning net and he scores from
yeah,
center ice. So that, and then, the good news is that with the 5 people that are in the stands on that Sunday morning
that's
for me,
right.
I don't think they're going to be calling for my head. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
They're not
okay
writing
with
any
taking
articles
that
about it.
risk now.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you won't be showing up in a Steve Dangle video or anything like that. Yeah, you don't want to be.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't
I
want to
won't be
be.
on
You don't want to
the
be on the bad end
the
of
not
those
so
ones.
great saves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what else is there that's new? What else is there that's exciting? Maybe that we haven't covered yet. Is there one or two
Yeah,
things?
I mean, I think, when I think about kind of, what else we're excited on this right now, we're in the stage we've made a lot of little tweaks,
Sure.
and having a successful line right now, it's, we don't need to rewrite the record books here. We don't need to change too much, but at the same time, we do need to look at how we can make those improvements that have otherwise impeded, somebody from wearing our product in the past. And something as simple as when I look at our 600 break glove,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a 590 guy myself, but when you look at the 600 break glove, in the past we've always had a lot of goalies say that this molded cuff,
Okay.
the one piece molded cuff that we have here, would always come out of. Whereas now what we're able to do is we actually trim that back a little bit to fall the hand a little bit more, so that when you're closing it, it's nice and easy.
Yeah.
So you're still getting that nice straight line, right? And like even on something like this, which is a pro glove with D3O in it, so a pretty bulky glove, you're still getting that nice snap seal without kind of having that product kind of, that plastic at the bottom kind of impeding. And kind of, flipping the glove over, like there's a lot of just small things, right? There's more segmentation through the back of the hand, right? You've got your elastic straps so that when you are closing, this whole molded hand piece at the back can flex around the back of your hand. And then, something that we've wanted for a while is making sure that, for those kind of, like myself, the fingers up goalies, to give you a little bit more control over having that, as opposed to, a one piece cuff on the back, which gave you more resistance. And,
Yeah.
kind of carrying those same things over to our blocker, right? Like, a much thinner blocker board. This was something that we first brought in on the Axis line, and everybody says a blocker is a blocker is a blocker is a blocker, but when you have more control over your blocker, and you will be able to dictate the game, especially from a couple feet off the ice and up. Like, it's such a useful tool. People forget that this is the thing that kills penalties, by putting pucks over the glass for you, just like
Yep.
your stick. So by having that lighter blocker board, but still making sure that obviously the goaltender is protected is a big thing. And then, flipping it over to the back where we've got, better range of motion in the cuff, more adjustability on the sides. Like it's just tinkering with the things that we were already successful with and optimizing them to make sure. And, as far as other exciting things go, like I think we're very fortunate and I am as well, like to be a part of such a really good goalie team now that's, I think we're working more collectively and cohesively than we ever have. And now with, our performance lab at our head office, like we're able to push the envelope a little bit more and use a lot of innovation and data to kind of make our next steps forward. And we were talking about the Eflex 5 pad earlier, like because of that, we've been able to shave down, our inside calf, shave down our inside calf a little bit to make it more optimal for sliding. We've also been able to through the face of the pad now have different rebound options so that a goalie can either have our control rebound, which I know it's a little difficult to see, but you can maybe see a little bit of blue in the hole there. The control rebound face is like if a heavy shot comes into you, it's going to kick it out far. Whereas if a softer shot comes in, it's going to keep that rebound dead so that you can cover it up, as opposed to just let that muffin come in, jump off your pad and hit the slot. And then, for goalies that, you despise covering the puck, we've got our max rebound foam, which is the foam that was on the face of our Premier 2 product. And you can put that in Eflex. So really looking at what goalies are asking for and the different types, we talked about chest protectors of the more positional versus reactive goalie. And so we're doing the same thing with our pads and saying, okay, well, what do these goalies want? And what options do we need to give them? Because, it's not like we can just say, hey, the positional goaltender likes A, B, and C, because they may like A, B, D, and F, right? Whereas the more reactionary goalie may also like A, but they don't like B, they like E, and they like G. So we want to make sure that in kind of all the categories that are going to be able to improve somebody's performance, whether it's a goalie pad, a glove, a blocker, skate, stick, any of that stuff, like we're going to be able to cater to, so you can make your own cake, if you will, or the analogy I used before, your own sandwich. So that's going to be the product that kind of helps you take your game to the next level, as opposed to saying to you, this is the best because of this. And that's your only option.
So you're really able to go inside of, especially with the pad we're really talking about here, you're really able to sort of marry the pad you want with almost with the style of play that you want, just by having those customized features.
Yeah, it's changing your leg channel if you want. It's, like I said, changing the face. Even you look at our gloves, right? We're very fortunate to have 3 very strong gloves from our 590, our 600, and our 580. And the 580 is, crazy. When we first started working together, the 580 was it was very quiet, right? Like it was almost a purple unicorn, right? People heard about it, but you'd never really seen it in the wild.
Right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Now the 580, right now the 580 has become so prevalent, and it's really turned our 3-prong approach with gloves into, they're all really good options now. Now, which one works best for each goalie? That's up to the goalie to decide, but it allows you to make any one of those to match your Eflex 5 set.
Exactly. Yeah, that is a great option.
So that once again, it's, hey, this brake is going to work with whichever one you want. You just tell us what brake that you need to make sure you're catching all the pucks.
No, and it's not, and again, I think what you're saying is like, it's not like, well, if you like this glove, you're going to have an Eflex pad and blocker, and then you're going to have a mismatch axis catcher just because you like a certain close. Like it's that you're able to just pick whichever glove you want into the look of the rest of the set, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's goaltending now. You alluded to it earlier. I remember when I was growing up, and if you wanted a black, white, and silver pad, that was the pad. It's option 1. Whereas now, if we sit there and I go, I want a black, white, and silver pad, it's like, okay, well, where do you want the black? Where do you want the white? And where do you want the silver?
Hmm.
And how
Hmm.
much of each do you want? So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to see how, you know, once I look at goaltending as you got started because you saw Felix Potvin's mask for me, and it was so cool, right? And how goalies would be able to express themselves with different paint jobs on their masks, and how they're not only able to do that on their masks, but also on their gear and on their sticks, and custom skates that we're 3D printing your foot at our head office.
Yeah.
Like everything has your personal insignia, your touch, you built into it, because ultimately that's going to be the best way to make you a better goaltender, right?
Yeah, exactly. Why not offer the best products you can? Actually, that was something we sort of skipped over a little bit with the skates was the customizing aspect, which is now obviously available. I think it's been successful. I
Yeah.
mean, I know the ones that I've done, whether it's player or goalie. Generally speaking, we've hit a lot of home runs there. So just the ability to scan your foot and, like you said, back at home base, they just 3D print your foot and away they go. They sort of build the skate basically right around the foot, and then you get it. And it's like
Yeah,
not
it's
much else out there that's going to really that can go beyond that.
yeah, and kind of a creepy idea, right? Like, we've
Yeah.
just got a warehouse full of a bunch of people in Quebec. Like that's
We're
right.
building
But
your robot
it's cool
replacement.
because, you know, exactly your doppelganger. It'll be out in 6 to 8 weeks. But yeah, it's really cool because, as something where we're 3D printing it, like it's like we just picked you up and transported you to Montreal, right? And especially with that thermoformability of our one piece food and us being able to manipulate it with no restrictions of an outsole. It is such a unique property for us. And that's why it's crazy. Like, in the past in the OHL, I'd almost be offended to try and ask somebody to try our skates, where now we're having a lot of success with it because it's such a great story, and then subsequently when they put it on, it's such a great product. So it's not like you're telling a great story and have a crappy ending. It's a
Yeah.
really good book that goalies are enjoying. So I think that's very underrated, is the fact that, like, we are making that foot, and it is what separates us with that one piece too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How many OHL teams do you cover?
So I work with 8. So I go Peterborough, Oshawa. I'm sorry, I'm going through my roadmap here. Peterborough, Oshawa, Barrie, Mississauga, Guelph, Owen Sound, Hamilton, and Niagara. So I
Okay,
work with them.
that's a nice little ring.
Pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
not
that's good. It's
bad.
almost half the league. I mean,
Yeah,
so what was that like this year? Obviously, not a lot of
I was.
contact.
Yeah, it was difficult. The one thing I've been very fortunate with kind of my roles here at CCM and stuff is I started kind of on the ground floor, and obviously that's where you and I had met as a tech rep,
Yep.
right? Then after that, I kind of got my own territory as a sub rep, servicing retail stores, and that was kind of the same time where I actually did all of the OHL goalies. And then after that, I became my own sales agent,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just started, in my sales territory, I started working with, excuse me, the OHL teams that were within it. And so yeah, so last year was a tough year. It was different because obviously you had a lot of other leagues playing, and ours, to no fault of their own, through repeated attempts tried to get going, and they just couldn't put it together.
Yeah.
But it was different. It was a lot of fitting players in parking lots, mask on, kind of, the sweat beating down your face because it's 35 out, and you've got
Yeah.
a mask and a shield on if you're getting close to them. So that was very unique. And now, kind of, thank goodness, like, near the end of June here, we're looking like we're on the right side of things. So at least now when I'm seeing some players, I might be seeing them at a high performance session, or I might be seeing them at the garage, in their garage at their house or something like that.
Yeah.
So at least now it's a little bit more normal, if you would, even though still not normal,
Normalish.
but it's, yeah, as normal as we felt in the last 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So at least that's good. But it's really good. And I think hockey was slow for me anyways, up until really the OHL draft. And once the OHL draft happened again, it's almost the unofficial start of the Ontario hockey season,
Yeah.
because when with all those kids moving through the minor hockey systems up to their next age group and so on and so forth, it's like, oh wow, like now a lot of those kids were like, it's the dream is real, I've made it there. And then the kids that are a year younger than them go, oh, now it's my year. So now then the pressure kind of gets added on. So yeah, it's been unique. It's been fun. I work with both players and goalies
Hmm.
on all of my 8 teams. So it can be a juggling act sometimes, but fortunate to work with a lot of really good equipment managers that support what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do, and give me access to their players. And it's always fun, hanging around the boards at a rink, watching practice for a little bit with the
Yeah.
talent sometimes that you get to see on the ice there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, junior hockey is great. I've always had like I've always gone back to. I remember. I mean, even when the big lockout happened, the 04, the 05,
Mm-hmm.
I remember spending a lot of time at OHL rinks, and you got to see those stacked London Knights teams and things like that.
Yep.
And then and then it's always good hockey. It brings a smile to your face. You're watching basically kids, but you're seeing the kids
Yeah.
as they get better. You're picking out, oh, this kid's gonna make it, and it's like, oh, I don't know about
Yeah.
this kid. And then you don't know if you're right or wrong. You're not a scout. You're just a fan.
Yes.
But you see it, and you go, wow, that's a kid that came out of nowhere. I never saw that in him, and that now he's front and center on an NHL team. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's cool though that you do get to wear a couple of hats. Obviously, it's a lot on your plate, I'm sure at times, but it sounds like you're making the most of it and enjoying it.
Yeah, it's what it's as I've gotten more involved, like I said, now that I'm kind of doing, both the retail side and managing a lot of accounts there, and then as well as doing the pro side. And now that I feel our company has gotten, um, I guess I would say like we're more cohesive, because now I get to, I'm helping out with the goalie team, because being a goalie myself and passionate about it, we want to see how we can innovate and take our product to the next level, and use the tools we have to make our product better. And then I get asked to be on another committee where I can help our minor hockey league team business, and where we think our weaknesses are there, and how to advance that business. So it as much as I am quote unquote just a sales agent,
Hmm.
it's very cool, because you get to be part of so many things, like product development, or retail sales programs, or coming and working a store on a Saturday, or back when Just Hockey had their goalie nights, like
Hmm.
speaking to the end consumer. Because ultimately, the reason why we all got into this is because we enjoyed being able to share our knowledge with that new goalie, right, that 7-year-old kid. And then not only sharing it with the 7-year-old kid, but being able to speak to their parents, and help them out.
Yep.
And then as they progress, as they get older, explain more and more knowledge. And I was always very fortunate. My dad, he barely played hockey, but he was a teacher, and he took me to a bunch of sports stores. And when we went there, he was very he trusted the staff tremendously, because he didn't know anything about hockey, never mind
Right.
goaltending.
Right.
So now, when we get to help out those kids and those parents, and direct them into, what could be the product that gets him or her excited about the position that we're passionate about, it's awesome. And that's why now it's so important for us to have a successful youth and junior product line, and
Hmm.
really focus on that, as opposed to just taking the top end product, and using scissors to cut it down. It's hey, what's the best for these entry goalies? And it's as something as simple as making the glove easier to close, or
Hmm.
making the pads a little bit more narrow and manageable,
Yeah.
right, and making them a little bit lighter. So it's those things that when you get to see, whether it's the goalie going the butterfly for the first time, or you know, if we were lucky enough to be at the rink when they made their first glove save, that really just, you know, it's almost like that moment
Yeah.
where that's when they want to be a goalie then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like that's what we get excited about. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then now fortunately I'm able to do that with kids that are 16 and help them get the moment too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's pretty interesting.
Well, that, I mean, talk about putting a bow on it. I couldn't think of a better way to wrap that up, to really encapsulate it. But no, that it really is. It speaks to, I guess, like kind of the passion that we sort of all do have, and the way we look at, the things that were given to us along the way, and the things that we wanna give back. So, Alex, I will say thank you very much. Thanks for joining me this evening. It was great. I think we covered a lot of ground here, and hopefully everyone got a good look into certainly some of the stuff that they haven't quite seen yet, some of the stuff that they'll be seeing soon as they are checking out new gear this year. So that's a wrap for this one, and thanks for tuning in. And Alex, thanks again for being a part of it.
No problem. It was great to be a part of it. Always fun talking hockey and more specific goalie stuff. And very excited for the things that kind of we've got as a company moving forward and the innovation we're going to be able to bring. Um, if you want to scour the internet a little bit and some Instagram pictures, you can probably find some tidbits of where we're going. And I couldn't be more excited to be going there. So yeah, have fun. And I look forward to doing this again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you all for watching, and thanks again to Alex for stopping by for the chat. Once again, remember to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out our other videos. Until then, we'll see you next time. It looks a lot more natural.
You have a collared shirt on. I'm going to put a collared shirt on.
Okay.
I'm not going to insult you.
This is the first one I've done that I had a collared shirt on.
Really?
I had it's not intentional. It's just what I wore today. You got a CCM
I actually brought
one?
my golf.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
no, the red will look good.
I brought my golf suit down, and I was like, I don't know if I got the hat going. I said, I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah. You got everything. You got everything like close at hand.
Yeah, I
that
got.
You want to show off or anything like that? You got it. You got a glass of water.
I got Eflex 5 stick, pads, glove blocker.
Okay, so I'm so like loopy when it comes to what's coming out, because to me, I think Eflex 5 came out last year.
Yes, well, that's when we started seeing it, right?
Well, yeah, I know exactly. Tell me about it. And it was supposed to go until playoffs, which should already be over, and then it would be launching, and then we'd have already done goalie day and everything. It's so weird. Just the seasons, just having the seasons like starting at a bit of a weird time, as well. It's like oh yeah, it's like I'm trying to imagine like what time of year it is by the NHL season, and it's like it's not working.